Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of SEScoops, and today we are in some elite company with the Queenslayer, Anna J. So how are you doing today?
Hi, yes, thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm fantastic to be speaking with you today. Of course, it is Women's History Month, so I have to say, too, that the AEW women's division has grown so much since AEW's inception. So for you as a part of the roster, kind of what are your thoughts on this evolution of the AEW women's division over the last 2 years that you've been there?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely grown. We're doing great now. It's cool to see, too, that we have more than one segment on, Dynamite and Rampage, and to grow our roster, and just myself even being able to do more and seeing everyone get better and want to do better has been a really cool thing, too. So yeah, I mean, it's been great, and I think everyone in the locker room would say the same thing.
Of course, too. And for you, talking about getting more matches and more segments, for you, what do you want to see happen next in the AEW women's division specifically to elevate it even more then?
We're getting more, but, why not strive for more? So, like I said, we're getting more segments. I think the next thing maybe would be to even have more matches on the show. But yeah, like I said, we're going in the right direction. So just to keep going, I think.
Definitely to keep going up and up. And talking about your personal evolution too, I mean, you've had a unique journey, I would say, entering wrestling as the star of the show, but then quickly transforming into the Queenslayer and a member of the Dark Order. So how did you kind of manage this quick transition? Can you give us a little bit more insight into that?
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected. I didn't expect, I guess, to, let alone be signed, but also to be transforming into the Queenslayer and the Dark Order, which was a totally different character than I was used to portraying, even though I hadn't been wrestling for that long. I definitely think all the guys, obviously, in the Dark Order helps me a lot. Just all the coaches in the back helps me a lot as well. Brody, for sure. But as soon as I, started doing it, I think it kind of came naturally in a way. And I think being surrounded by all the guys in the Dark Order kind of helped, like I said, being able to adapt. It wasn't just me by myself.
Exactly, too. And like talking about the creative process, was that your vision as the Queenslayer, or was it kind of given to you and you kind of just took it and ran with it?
Yeah, it was definitely given to me. I had no idea really what they wanted me to be portrayed as. And actually, when I was announced as the Queenslayer, that was a surprise to me. I didn't even know that was happening. So it it definitely was provided for me. It kind of fell into my lap, but it ended up working out in the best possible way.
Of course, and you've certainly made the most of it too since becoming the Queenslayer. And a part of that transition too is definitely your ring gear too, which was much different. And I'm obsessed with your ring gear. So do you have any inspirations or stories behind your current set of ring gear?
I still, from the start of the show to the Queenslayer, I still have stars on my gear, just to kind of still allude to the fact that you're still there. I would say mine's definitely more edgy now as a Queenslayer. I used to wear the top hat, ring jacket, and all of that, and I still love that stuff. And maybe one day I'll bring it back, but I think that's kind of what I've done, is just taken the stars, put that on my gear, and made it a little bit more edgy for the Queenslayer.
Definitely, too. I can definitely see that. I kind of like the homage to the old star of the show because it's always a part of you,
Yes, exactly.
Now, for you, who else do you think has the best ring gear game or aesthetic today in professional wrestling?
Oh, that's a good question. Gosh, that is really hard, honestly, because I love everyone's gear for different reasons. I used to always be obsessed with Sasha Banks gear just because it was so intricate and detailed, and the stones and all that kind of stuff. I love that, and it looks like it, has taken a long time. It looks like it was a lot of work to do, which looks cool to me. I would say I also definitely Cody Rhodes gear. He always had intricate, detailed things as well. So I think that's more of what I like, is to see a lot of bling, a lot of detail.
I can definitely see that in your gear too as well, kind of blending things together beautifully. And like you said, Sasha Banks always has great gear whenever she does. So I definitely agree with you on that one too.
Yes.
And of course, through this character change too, you also gained an ally and friend in Tay Conti. So can you tell me more about some of your favorite memories on and off screen that you've shared with Tay?
Definitely this one, and I've said this in interviews too, so I think a lot of people know, but just meeting her, I think, and kind of how things once again kind of fell into our lap of us being tag partners with also hitting it off in person in real life. So it really worked out, and I think that's kind of you can't really ask for a better way for that to happen. So I would definitely say that's my favorite part, just how it happened organically and ended up working on screen as well.
Of course, too, and I mean, on screen alongside Tay, you had what I would say was your most hardcore match to date in a street fight against Penelope Ford and the Bunny a few months ago. So, what are a few takeaways from you from that match specifically? It was amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Definitely nothing like I've done before. So I think my biggest takeaway too is just even more believing in myself. Like I can do these things that other people can do, and I can, do hardcore things, which I never thought that I would do. And yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot and really enjoyed it more than I thought that I would have.
Did you have any apprehensions or kind of certain preparations that you delved into prior to this match? Because like you said, it was your most hardcore to date.
Yeah, I think really the only preparation was just mentally, just knowing what my body was going to endure. And it's funny too, I don't know if I've said this before, but I actually had a super bad migraine that day before the match, and I did not feel good at all. So it was like hard for me to really focus on like worrying about things, if that makes sense. So it was kind of like a crazy day, but yeah, I would say just mentally, just knowing what I was about to do.
Well, I will say I would have never have known that you had gone in there with a migraine or anything, because all of you pulled out all the stops, and it was really a cool moment to see in that street fight.
Yes, thank you.
And of course, like we said, you certainly pushed yourself to the extreme in that street fight, both mentally and physically, you said. But what are some of few personal or professional goals that you'd like to accomplish next?
Definitely one day want to be champion. And I think that's kind of everyone, like I said in the locker room too, it's like, if that's not your goal, obviously, then what is? So I would definitely say that, just as well as to get better. I mean, I'm still very new in wrestling, and I think with every match that I have, I feel more comfortable, I feel more confident. So I think my goal is honestly just to keep doing that and to keep getting better and push myself and try new things, try new move. And yeah, like I said, to one day be champion. That's the ultimate goal.
Well, we're going to manifest it for you, girl. We need the power of the J's and the stars to align for that.
There we go, yeah.
And within the AEW women's locker room, who would you say is the funniest and why?
Oh my gosh, I have to say Nyla Rose. I mean, honestly, the only reason I will say why, if you follow her on Twitter or know her Twitter, that's a great example of why.
That is completely true. I can verify that as I'm following her.
Yes, so definitely her.
Does she I'm just curious, does she present herself the same way she does on Twitter with all the great, I feel like she has a great sense of humor and great jokes.
She does. Like I said, if you follow her Twitter or read her stuff, that's exactly how I would say it is, to be honest.
Fair enough. And for you too, within the All Elite women's locker room, who do you think stands out as the locker room leader?
Locker room leader. That's a good question. Honestly, Vicky Guerrero. That's a great one.
What have you learned? Obviously, Vicky is also kind of alongside Nyla. What have you taken away from your experience with Vicky or learned from just talking with her? Or what makes her feel like a leader?
Oh my gosh, well, she's willing to help anyone. So that, to start off with, she really helps out the locker room a lot. Like I said, as always, offers to help with anything, helps us with the locker room itself, like our stuff, our gear, just pretty much anything we need, she's there. It's like a locker room mom, like a locker room leader. She's really the best.
Definitely, too. She seems, obviously, her persona on screen is probably much different than what she is backstage, but I've heard only good things from her from backstage, so that's definitely great to know. And for you, too, I mean, somebody who has started off on Dark and has quickly become officially signed, if you had the power then to sign any current talent in the world to All Elite Wrestling, who would you pick and why?
Oh my gosh, that's a really tough question. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't know. There's definitely a lot of talents on Dark that have been brought in as well that I think are super talented and, deserve to be signed as well. Let me think. I mean, Kylan King obviously is a great wrestler and a great woman. I would definitely, let's say her.
I definitely agree. Kylan's been killing it on the independent scene now with 2 championships to her name right now. It's been a hot minute since we've seen her on Dark, but I definitely have to agree with you with that statement.
Yeah.
And I mean, too, in celebrating Women's History Month, who would you say is on, I feel like I know 2 of them already, but in celebrating Women's History Month, who would you say is on your all-time Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Bella Twins, I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
Bella twins for sure. I definitely, honestly, I would probably say, and this is just kind of how I grew up watching, I watched WWE, and that's kind of how I obviously got into wrestling. So I would say for my Mount Rushmore, I'm also going to say Trinity from WWE because I think she's very talented, and I always loved her stuff as well. And maybe Sasha Banks as well too.
I mean, that's a pretty elite group of women you have right there, too. It's very unique to Anna. Very, very different aspects that each of them shine. And obviously, the Bella twins are entrepreneurs as well. Sasha Banks is great in the ring, and Trinity is a great addition as well.
Yes, I agree.
And I definitely know the Bella twins inspire you in the world of wrestling, but who are some women personally for you that inspire or empower you the most?
Definitely 100% my mom. She's the best, and I, strive to be like her in every aspect of my life, other than wrestling, because she does not wrestle. So, but I would definitely say my mom. She's definitely who I look up to in every other aspect of my life.
That's always good to have that support starting young and, of course, throughout your life, too. But I mean, speaking of iconic women, can you tell me more about your Hannah Montana concert experience from back in the day?
Oh, my gosh. Literally, I think I've said it before too, best concert I've ever been to, most entertaining. And speaking of my mom as well, she's the one who took me, so it was just me and my mom. And she even says the same things, and she's been to concerts, all over and all of that. And she definitely agrees with me that it was the most entertaining concert that she's ever been to.
Now, how do you even acquire tickets to it's kind of like a kayfabe concert if you think about it. How do you acquire tickets to that? And I'm genuinely curious.
Oh, I think my mom actually found them on eBay whenever we went. I think I went maybe for a birthday present, and she found them on eBay. I think it was sold out or something, and she had to do it that way.
Huh. That's very interesting. I love that your first concert was very Disney. Now, obviously, it's Miley, and it was probably, I don't even know if they aired it, probably in an episode.
Yeah. I don't know, honestly. I don't remember.
Fair enough, though, too. But lastly, to close things out, as it is Women's History Month, what would you say are the biggest challenges that you've encountered as a female in this male-dominated sport we call pro wrestling?
I would say the biggest thing is honestly that it is male-dominated. Of course, like I said, we always want more segments and more time and more matches. And I think, obviously, majority of the time, it's more male segments and more male matches. So I think the biggest, issue is just trying to, like I said, get more time, get more matches, and hopefully one day it could be somewhat even, but I will say there are more men wrestlers, so it makes sense in some ways. But yeah, I would say that's just the biggest issue, and just also trying to, I guess, I'm not going to say women are not as good as men, but I would just say trying to be on that level, if that makes sense. I think we're just as good and just as capable, but I think just in your head, you always want to be the best you can be, and that's your goal.
I completely understand it, and it makes sense. And Anna, before I let you go, can you please tell the listeners where they can find you on all your social medias?
Yes, so my name on Instagram I know is Anna J with 3 underscores at the very end, and I think it's the same on Twitter, so at Anna J 3 underscores. I don't really know why they don't have any. I think Anna J was taken, so I had to do the 3 underscores. But yeah, you can find me there.
I understand that struggle because Ella J was taken as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me today, Anna. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.